Welcome to Concrete Play, and this episode is on conceits. Now, conceit is a technical term from science fiction. It is the nonsense that you put into your science fiction world in order to let you tell a really powerful story. In science fiction, that conceit is usually a science fiction doodly bug. For example, the idea of a spaceship is a conceit. The idea of faster-than-light travel is a conceit. These things let us tell more powerful stories. But they weren't the first conceits that were invented. Before we invented the idea of a spaceship that could travel to other worlds, we invented conceits on our world. We invented a city deep in the Himalayas, which was warm. We invented a hollow Earth. We invented an undersea ship, a submarine that could stay underwater for thousands and thousands of days. Those were our conceits before we discovered that we could just say, spaceship, fly somewhere new. In Star Wars, the conceit is the Jedi. Later on, this conceit kind of became the Force rather than the Jedi, but the point is, it's told on top of a lot of the other grand conceits that became the sci-fi genre. Although Star Wars has spaceships and faster-than-light travel and shields and humanoid alien races, none of those are Star Wars' personal conceit. Star Wars needed to have a conceit on top of the genre, and that conceit was the Jedi. And you could see that in their marketing. In the marketing where Darth Vader stepped forward, put out a sword, get a fight with an old guy in a robe. Audience members pointed at that and said, yes, that. Give that to me. The fact that there were also spaceships and shields, those were conveniences to allow the editors to put together a really powerful story, but they weren't what drew people to the world. They didn't go see Star Wars because there were spaceships in it. They went to see Star Wars because it had Jedi in it, and evil Jedi. Games are the same way, and so when you think of a game like Minecraft, it had a conceit. Its conceit was you are alone against an endless horde of deadly nighttime monsters, but you can build yourself a house out of whatever you can find around you, chop down a tree, plant a new tree, mine down for hundreds and hundreds of meters. Nowadays, it's not really interesting because it's been done. Minecraft did it. But back in the day, Minecraft was not the first game to do it, but the first game to really plant it into everyone's head. Now that it's no longer something that isn't... It's been done now. It's become a genre, like spaceships. You're not going to be able to sell your sci-fi by saying there are spaceships in it. And you can't sell your Minecraft by saying it's like Minecraft. Because if it's like Minecraft, Minecraft will win. You can't out Minecraft. They've got all the money, and the people that own half the computers on the planet own them as well. So you can't compete with Minecraft by being a better Minecraft. You need a new conceit. You need a conceit on top of that. And therefore, that conceit has to be what your players see immediately. So if you're building Minecraft, but with a ship, and you can pilot your ship around from island to island. Oh, all the islands are randomly generated. Won't that be neat? You can't say it's Minecraft with ships. You say, look at this. I've got this awesome idea for ships. I'm going to show you what it's like to be on a ship in this world. This is a game about building your ship. And yes, it also happens to be Minecraft-like. But it's not the Minecraftness is just a genre. It is not what sells your game. What sells your game is the unique piece that you've put in, the idea of ships, for example. Another good example of this is that there are literally tens of thousands of RPG Maker games, and very few of them get played. And this is not because the games are bad. I mean, sure, a lot of them are bad, but even the bad games are more playable than any of the RPGs I played when I was a kid. So why don't any of these games get played? Because they are generic fantasy games. That's not really the fault of the people that created them, because the people that created them are like, oh, I have this awesome idea. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build this world where, you're this epic fight of this particular person against this thing that turns out to be a giant interstellar monster from beyond the science fiction Thunderdome, whatever. It's got 10 eyes because why not? Yeah, space crab. And it's got all this other cool stuff in it. I mean, I've got this neat ship that you can fly around wherever you want, or maybe I've got it like you can. There's a whole bunch of other people in your party, but you actually like interact with them like it's a dating game, or you've got like this new battle system where you're actually drawing from the future in order to power your attacks in the present. And then, of course, you've got the problem of the fact that you just drew it from the future, so now you've got to go through that you get the negative power. So if you have mana, you draw it from the future, and then suddenly your mana goes way down in the future, and you can draw it from further in the future or whatever. You got this cool mechanic that you've decided you're going to put in the game. None of that stuff matters. It's all very important once the player is in the game, but you need to make that up front. And I don't just mean in the marketing. I don't just mean that you need to show your giant crab monster or that you need to show your cool dating mechanics. You do need to do that, but they also need to be very, very core to the game. If your game is about weird mythic monsters from beyond space and time, Cthulhu-like emerging into the world, then you had better have this monster show up in the very first town. Like 5 minutes into the game, there he is, or one of his little brothers. You need to immediately have the player go, oh, that. I want that. And I don't think a lot of indie game developers realize that because a lot of them are in love with the genre. And that's great. I love my science fiction. I even love my fantasy. But you've got to have a conceit on top of that. You've got to have something to say within that framework. Whether it's a new storyline or a new mechanic or whatever, you've got to put that up front. You've got to have that permeate every piece of your game. And I know that this is kind of a generic, soft discussion, but I just saw 3 more indie games come out today, and none of them are going to get played because their conceit is hidden. They are pretty good, but you have to play them for like 10 hours in order to see it. Games that do conceit well. How about, what is that? Robot Soccer, Rocket Soccer, whatever it's called. Rocket Chucks? I don't even remember anymore. The game where you play as cars that have balls that you bounce around. That got off really, really well because it has an easy to understand conceit right off the bat. How about Undertale? Undertale has a conceit that it is like Earthbound, but really modern. And it looks it. It has a very unique look and feel right from the start. It doesn't look like an RPG Maker game with generic assets. It is built from the ground up to present its conceit. And that conceit really comes off very, very well. Now, whether you like Undertale or not is not really the point. And whether you like soccer games with cars is not really the point. The point is that those devs had a conceit in mind. They had this idea. They wanted a particular experience. They wanted their players to go, oh, yes, that's awesome. And they put that right up front. They didn't put it at the back of the game. They didn't slowly develop it over the course of 10 hours. They were like, okay, you want this cool thing that I'm putting in your face? I'm making gestures like you can see? Yeah. So I wanted to make it real clear that you as a dev need to do this. A Tetris clone with a good conceit is better than a 60-hour-long RPG Maker game that someone dedicated 5 years of their life to, if that RPG Maker game does not have a conceit. So please, think long and hard about what makes your game special, and put it right up front.